I've watched guys who don't even drink. Now they're absolute alcoholics. If they don't have a drink in the morning, they're sick like they're heroin addicts. Young guys, old guys. Like, bro, how did you turn around and be 45 and then get turned into an alcoholic?
This is Kervial. You've heard him in episode 3 and 4.
No, bro, you're killing yourself. And I'm seeing it. And it's people who's got them there. Here, bro, come on, drink with me. Bro, I'm a working guy. I'm accustomed to waking up in the morning and having a cup of coffee and being active. And now I've been turned out into an alcoholic that's waking up to a pint before 8 o'clock, and it's 7:30.
Precise and recent statistics on unhoused people in Dane County are lacking, but the general estimate is that around 1 in 6 people have a substance use disorder.
And they kind of give up. And the problem, which I keep saying, like if people are all day long at a place like the Safe Haven or the Beacon, they are only confronted with that reality, so they're more likely to give up because they don't see people that actually like switch and manage to get something good out of it. They stay in that stagnant reality where nothing changes.
You're listening to Housing Last, a community-driven podcast exploring what stands in the way of ending homelessness in Dane County. I am one of your hosts, Morgan. You've also heard from me in episode 3.
Hey guys, this is Ryan from episode 2. Before we begin, 2 things. This episode contains mild profanity. In case that's an issue for you, we will release a censored version next week on Patreon, which you can join for free at patreon.com/housinglast.
Hey, and speaking of Patreon, none of the unhoused people featured in this or prior episodes have been compensated for their work, and they should be. That's why they have a Patreon page. All proceeds will go directly to unhoused people who have shared their stories on this platform. This is Kyler from episode 4. Stay in tune.
And it's easy to give up. I mean, for me, it's like one of the worst thing about being homeless, like seeing those places and having the idea that one day you get used to it and you accept it, because that's basically when you've given up.
This is Peter. He first appeared in the 4th episode.
That happens too. Sometimes people get the housing and they F it up, so to speak, within very short time because it's almost like they can't live otherwise. You hear similar things about jail people that, like, when they get out, they want to go back in because they don't know how to live outside.
Unhoused people are not a monolith, but they do struggle with motivation and substance use at higher rates than those privileged with housing security. In episode 4, we explored how the service system enables and perpetuates homelessness. Today, we will focus on what it's like to be in the sand trap of homelessness.
Last week we were averaging 320 people. It depends on what ratio, case manager to clients, right?
This is Carla Thens, Executive Director of Porchlight Incorporated, operator of Dane County's Men's Emergency Overnight Shelter. Currently, Porchlight is overwhelmed, and so are the other shelters.
The facility was designed for approximately 125 to 150 guests per day. We're averaging 240 to 260. One day we had 305 in August.
This is Sean Carney, Executive Director of Catholic Charities, which are the contractor for the Beacon, Madison's daytime shelter.
Places like Safe Haven that are more affordable transitional housing is also a day shelter, and that's a huge problem.
This is Ryan. You also heard him in episode 4. Safe Haven is a day shelter for adults with mental illness.
And I've been going there for a long time, and it's honestly just kind of sad. I went there this Saturday, and there was only the one lady, the one staff member working there, like for like the office, and just to like keep track of the place to make sure nobody was like messing around, fighting, doing any sort of like illicit drugs. It's they honestly have gotten a lot worse.
So the budget we're in now, the 2025 budget, had advocated for additional funds for the Beacon so that they could hire case managers. people who would have more time to work really intentionally with folks who need help to help them get into housing, help them get connected to employment. That, like, a lot of folks already have jobs, so maybe they want, a better job, or they want to get into a training program to get into a better job.
This is Casey Becker.
The division that I manage is the Housing Access and Affordability Division, and our division holds contracts for services that prevent and end homelessness, increase affordable housing and home ownership, and then also support economic development. That funding ended up getting erased because the Beacon lost another major funding source in the same year. So instead of being able to expand services, those dollars had to be used to maintain the services we already have.
Currently, the shelter system is experiencing a twofold crisis: resource scarcity and clientele overflow.
So when you get to that level of individuals coming through there per day, it's just difficult, honestly, just to provide the basic level of services.
When we started 2024, the county gave us funds for 2 additional case managers for all of 24. I can't say, I need 1 to 10 ratio, you know what I mean? Because I don't have room for 50 case managers, right?
Many unhoused people spend significant amount of their day within the shelters, and the conditions of the shelter environments impact their well-being.
I've talked to several men who have said that they had good health, as did I, for many years before I got here.
This is Ed from episode 4. To provide privacy, his voice has been edited.
Now all this shit's going around. I just went through about 5 months, no kidding, of this bronchial effect. It's a bronchial problem that's been going around, and it is rampant in there still. It's supposed to be a seasonal thing. It's perpetual in there.
We did stage a direct action against Porch Light last year that was organized by some Porch Light tenants based on the living conditions at Porch Light properties, right? And again, this isn't the fault of any individual person at Porch Light.
This is Allie from Madison Tenant Power, a collective defending tenant rights to decommodified housing, fair leases, timely repairs, and safe living conditions.
It's a known fact that most of the properties that Porch Light runs have some kind of safety hazard. Bed bugs, rodents.
High population density and lack of resources create unsanitary environments, but conditions within the shelters tend to be generally harmful, with or without overwhelm.
I mean, I spent 3 weeks at the COVID hotel for food poisoning in total, yes.
This is Peter. You've heard him in episode 4.
Couple of times, it was 3 separate weeks, but once it got pretty much all the co-workers, because I was working 6 months at the shelter as a volunteer, and we were 3-4 friends of mine that had basically severe stomach problems, diarrhea for 3 days ongoing, one of the worst things. I never had anything like that, but it wasn't just me, it was several other people, many got it. Some of the people that were working, many of the guests. I've been at the shelter for over 2 years, and I really don't recommend it. I mean, you get bad food, you get stuff stolen, you don't sleep well, the showers are very bad, you can't even clean yourself there. It's bad place. And of course, nobody's gonna get motivated much to get out of it.
Scarcity extends in multiple directions within the shelter network. As a result, the environment becomes damaging to its tenants.
My first night coming into the men's overnight shelter, I already got my past dramas. When I was a kid, I used to get in trouble, so I was locked up a lot. Going in that men's shelter felt like going to county jail, and the environment reminded me of county jail. It does remind me of, it's worse than county jail. I'm from Chicago. The county jail that I'm accustomed to is pretty rough.
The system is not meant to encourage family.
This is Brian. He is the founder of the Homeless Romantic Initiative, which you can find on Facebook.
I would rather give my kids up than talk about the family shelter. And that's the shittiest thing I could ever say is I'd rather give my kids up. They don't belong there. If I'm going to suffer through it, they're not going to. I love my kids. I do not want my kids to walk side by side with me. I'm sorry, it's just an unhealthy environment. I've seen children, I've seen pets, I've seen significant others people who want to bring others along with them, and it's the worst thing on the planet. I don't want to ever have my family in the environment that I have put myself in or that the environment has brought to me.
Harmful conditions affect the physical and mental well-being of the shelter's tenants, and when people are held in the shelter system for months or years, they become drained.
If you don't want incidents to where you could be having words with somebody or turn to a physical altercation, you have to have an endurance, and most people don't. I've watched people that came in, like they were saints, and that endurance, it didn't last long. The stamina wasn't there, and they unraveled, and before you know it, you had words, and now it's a full-blown fight because you've been dealing with it for so long. Like, okay, I'm going to keep my rationality. I'm going to keep my composure. I'm going to be mature. Obviously you have a condition, and then it's like so much of it is exhausting. And you're like, I can't contain myself. I am not a machine.
The constant accumulation of stress from the shelter system leads to traumatizing experiences.
Yeah, you homeless, so that's dysfunctionality, and yeah, you might not have a condition on paper, but just the fact that you're dealing with this situation that you don't have a roof over your head has you with a condition undiagnosed. The trauma's there.
As the everyday life of shelter clients fills with trauma, they struggle to find the drive to change their conditions.
Not being supervised, they basically turn themselves into worse problem or amplify themselves. So, it's a bad thing to mix all those people in the same room, so to speak, because if they don't get any help, they basically end up making each other worse. Like, they cause more problems within themselves, and things degenerate very quickly. They shouldn't be having people for 3-4 years that are there sleeping every day and they don't do anything different for the same routine, go to the beacon, take the bus, go back to the shelter, stay at the shelter overnight, and then proceed and redo it every day of the week. It's dull, and it's like mind. It's not good for your mind if there is so much monotony and like silly routine in your life that doesn't yield any results or anything special. Basically, it's what gets them down. They get even accustomed to that lifestyle. They basically accept it.
The shelter environment deprives its tenants of drive and motivation, and that enables self-destructive behavior.
Like, you get $1,000, for example, from the Social Security benefits. You should make sure they go to a rent, not to go towards buying, things that last 2 days and then are gone. Very futile, purpose. But the majority, most people, it's like when you don't see them, they got their check. And unfortunately, it's understandable to a certain degree where if your situation is so bad, you need ways to cope with it. But that's not a way of coping. It's just a way of masking it. The problem will always be there. You're just getting too drunk or whatever to think about it. They might maybe work a couple of days well, get the first paycheck, and then decide to do a lot of partying and not show up at the job again. It's a reality that I've seen really many times. I worked for 2 hours for a temp agency, and that was pretty steady working, but I saw people coming and going like way too often. That's the reality. Sometimes they get even the chance, but they don't take it.
It's a sand trap being in these places as far in regards to the Beacon or the men's porch light, because it's an institute. So it's like you're being programmed to institutionalization and all that's around you. Before you know it, you misprioritizing on what you should spend your money on. I'm watching these guys. They get lost and they're hanging out with each other, and they forget their priorities, and then they resent themselves, and then they misprioritize again because of the negative influences. Some of these guys, they got Social Security, you know, and it'd be $1,200, $1,500, game-changing type money, you know. Like you could do something about your situation with that money. And they're lost in it. They're blowing it. It's the never-ending cycle. It's the environment. They got to get away from those guys. They need isolation. You got a problem as far as your indulgence, whether it's drinking or drugs, you need to be to yourself. Because at least you could think to yourself. These guys, they wake up like they never went to sleep.
The cycle of degradation within the shelter conditions pulls people into behaviors that resemble the stigmatized stereotypes of homelessness.
The drinking is really bad. The drinking is really bad, and it's a drinking town. It always has been. Wisconsin is a drinking state. But even with the 9 p.m. cap on when you can buy alcohol, the alcohol is so damaging in Madison when it comes to the homeless. They're drinking to numb the pain of the reality that they're dealing with, and they're very sensitive people. And then they got to wake up and look themselves in the mirror behind what they did the night previously, and there's shame. They don't want to feel that shame, and they're back drinking. And they get lower and lower, and they just give up and don't care no more. This is it. I could see it in them. They don't want to, they feel like they can't get up. Like this is it.
Those trained by the shelter environments for prolonged periods of time are at risk of self-destructive surrender, and the broader homelessness service system fails to intervene.
I've been going to the Beacon on and off. Every time I'm there, it's just people just sit there, or just sleeping, or they're doing something that's nothing productive. It's just sitting there all day for 8 hours doing nothing. Half of the time it's fights. Half of the time the police are there. And half of the time the ambulance is there too. It's just, what is going on? Because I remember when I was there 3 years ago, you want to get a job? Bet. Somebody be right there with you. You want an application done? A staff member sit right there with you.
This is Tyler. He was a part of episode 4.
Food stamps does what they need to do. I just wish that the other people that would come in that are an organization that goes there would actually be like, hey, I'm from this organization. I'm here to help you. We have a table right here, not just set up and sit there and then just do nothing for 2 hours. Because then, yeah, we're going to give you a look like, who the hell are you? Why are you here? We don't know you. Like, you got to make yourself known. You got to be like, hey, I'm from here and here. I'm here to help you.
Those places should be very different, and it looks like they send people there to kind of give up hope, not to get out of it. It's almost like the last stage. It's not. I mean, in my opinion, a place like that would have the chance to like, let's meet this single people. Let's see what you can do to help each one individually. I don't see too much of that happening. That's what I see. The same people staying there for 3 years and not having any changes in their life, and so it looks like a bit of the opposite of what it should be.
And at one point, I was told by the local cops, stop calling us about these things. They don't want to hear about noise complaints, and they don't want to hear about the heat goes out in your nice new apartment every time there's a cold snap. They like to punish you here if you speak out.
The scarcity of resources within the shelter system creates a damaging environment. These conditions put at risk people's ability to lift themselves up, and instead of giving a hand, the broader service system deepens the sand trap. It's important to note that certain services within the network are successfully supporting their clients. The system as a whole is not representative of its individual parts, and we will explore those in more detail in later episodes.
The Solstice House, this place on Milwaukee Street by East Washington, where they allow people to stay for 5 days, and there is like people that are actually qualified if you need to talk to them, and they have like a very clean and welcoming environment. You get your own room, you have a kitchen that's clean and available. I mean, they provided 5 days of rest and were very helpful. There were lots of the guests that were actually speaking to the staff, and I mean, in a couple of conversations, I was involved myself a little bit, and I thought that was a helpful experience. Actually, people that care about who's there, that they want to get to know you, they want to know what's your situation so that they can help you specifically, not where you're just one of 250 guys and they just want to get things done and go to the next day.
Services that provide more support than harm are scarce and overfilled. Majority of Dane County's unhoused population exists within the degrading conditions of the shelter system.
I fully know that some of these property managements of these places that get their clients from Beacon know that their clients are going to jail and plot on kicking them out knowing they're going to jail.
This is Kyler from episode 4.
How discouraging does that sound? It's like you're just using these people's money. I've heard people keeping residents to get their rest of the core money, and then when the core money ran out, now they're going to kick them out. So you just took their core money and now you still want to kick them out?
The negligence within the service system enables exploitation.
The money is there, and then they go and do what they want with it, and then demand more and say, we're doing this, we're doing that. Look, they have their token moments. They have their token people. Look, here's John. We've known John for some time now, and we help him a lot. And John's the revolving door guy, because you're not really getting John no help. He's got a condition. He's an addict and an alcoholic, So, yeah, he's going to keep getting kicked out because he's not getting no real help, because he keeps turning his apartment or wherever you house him at into the spot, and now he gets kicked out. Now he needs you guys' help all over again because you're not really helping him. You're putting the Band-Aid on the broke arm.
The unhoused people within Dane County struggle to find sufficient support within the service system. Therefore, their reform proposals circulate within the community.
Can't get better if you're just among the people that have the same problem with you. It's good to get you in an environment where there is other people that have managed to rise above, and that's better. Like, you can go with their, so to say, you can basically get energy from them because you know that they did it and they can help you doing it. At the shelter, nobody helps you doing that.
We need more people that do social work. We need more people that get into the healthcare industry, peer support specialists. But it's kind of something people don't really think about unless you've gone through that trauma.
The proposals share an emphasis on compassion and community, the two crucial factors for the persistence of unhoused people.
I think it's just mostly the fact that there's a lot of places that are mismanaging resources. We have a couple of places, mental health services throughout Madison, that sort of go about mental health in their own different ways, but not a lot of them know about each other or know about like other resources. And I'm still learning, like 2 years into this, I'm still learning about newer resources, and I finally was able to get into a program.
Unhoused people often receive more support from their peers than from the system, and want the service network to build on rather than erode the foundation of community and connection.
People are just bitching up a storm, and I finally said to one guy, we can bitch all we want to, but it would be so much more effective if we could actually band together, have some kind of a coalition with some kind of force behind us. We can't go on strike, obviously, but a lot of effort, a lot of energy is wasted on that.
You've been listening to Housing Last, a community-driven podcast exploring what stands in the way of ending homelessness in Dane County.
If this was a valuable experience for you, please share it with a friend. If you got no friends, you can drop us $1 on Patreon. If you're unable to support us financially, say hi to us when you see us.